Hi and welcome to Be More Super, the podcast. I'm Brian, your host, and this week we've got a great guest. We've got the wonderful Brad William Henke. Yes, Brad William Henke, star of Orange is the New Black. He's been in countless movies, so I'm so excited to have him on the show. So please enjoy the episode, and as always, like, subscribe, and share the love. And this episode is brought to you by the wonderful people at Prop Store of London. Visit their website, propstore.com, today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode with Brad William Henke.
Welcome to Be More Super, the podcast.
Up in the sky, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
An action-packed podcast where we'll discuss all things entertainment.
You're the answer to Are We Alone in the Universe?
Conventions, prop collecting, cosplay, interviews, reviews, and so much more. The show starts with host Brian Gardner right now.
Welcome to the show, Brad. It's a great honour because I'm a massive fan. So I'm looking forward to speaking to you about many things. So you've starred in quite a lot of movies, starred in quite a lot of TV. But when I was researching you, because I've seen you on my screens over God knows how many years, and I didn't realise you was a pro footballer. That is something. I mean, I've been a football fan, American football fan, for donkey's years in the UK, and I go over to the States. Well, I used to, because I had family over there, and I used to see the Washington Redskins play quite a bit, and the Philadelphia Eagles, even the Maryland Terps, and being
I went to a game. Who was it? I think it was Jacksonville against someone. When I was in the England Shooting Fury a few years ago. It was at Wembley Stadium, I think. Yeah, that was fun.
And do you know what? It's nice that American football is coming back to the UK, because we used to have our own teams back in the 90s, and it was a massive thing.
All right, check this out. When I got cut, I got hurt kind of in college, so I never was that good in pro football. But when I got cut, then I played in that thing, the World League of American Football. I played for Barcelona.
Wow. I didn't realize that. Oh, my God.
And we played against the London something
Monarchs.
in Wembley. Yeah. London Monarchs in Wembley Stadium.
Oh, wow. But you also played in a Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. Growing up as a kid, I was always Joe Montana, and you played against him. I mean, I think that's absolutely awesome. So you were born and brought up in, is it Nebraska? Columbus,
I was born in Nebraska. But I grew up in Colorado, which is the next state west.
Yeah, and you went to Littleton High School, is that correct? Yeah. What got you into football? Was it because it's the thing in high school? You either become a jock or you become...
Well, no, it was kind of like I was good in sports when I was a kid. And my parents told me, to get good at something so I could get a scholarship to go to college.
Yeah.
So that became my, I didn't really know what that meant, but that became my goal from like 8 years old. So I played baseball and football, but when I started throwing curveballs, it's hard to hit the ball. So then I stuck to football.
And you miss playing football?
No. I've been playing so long. I miss now I do like boxing and jiu-jitsu and stuff. So I do like the spar, like that aspect of being physical and kind of, if you mess up, you might suffer the consequences. I like that type of exercise. But no, I'm glad I didn't become a football star, because then I feel like, I didn't want to be seen as like a ex-jock who wants to be an actor. I wanted to be an actor. So I didn't even talk about playing football, until people started figuring it out, because I just wanted to be seen as an actor.
But isn't that nice that, I'm interviewing you because I think you're an awesome actor, and then find out that not only are you an awesome actor, you were a footballer. And I think that's great.
But don't you think it's better to find that out second?
Exactly.
Because you already see me as a you see me act in so many different things. I'm can do it.
No,
So,
that's brilliant. No, it's brilliant. So you played for the Denver Broncos and then went on to Fort Worth Cavalry.
Well, that was like when I was done playing football, I didn't know what to do with my life because, I'm only like mid-20s and my career is over.
Yeah.
So I played in the World League. I don't think the World League thing shows up on my Google or whatever, but then that thing I just played a couple of games, and my ankle, I've had 6 operations on my ankle, so it really couldn't do it anymore.
And what got you into acting? Because, you seem to have left, playing football, and then straight away, I mean, actors go to college or university in the UK, say, and study the art. You've gone straight into it.
Well, it wasn't that straight. For what I did is I came out to California. I actually coached football for 1 year, and I did well, but I just wasn't into that anymore. So but someone told me about, sometimes when they're shooting a commercial, they'll have like about a football. They'll have ex-football players in the background acting like they're playing football. So I did that once, and I met a guy who invited me to an acting class. And I went to this acting class, and I see this guy up there, like, doing this scene. He's crying or something. And I'm like, the hell makes this guy cry? I cry like once in my life. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and they're talking about, what makes you feel this emotion and that emotion. And I had, like, no idea about any of this stuff. I just thought, my emotions were, I'm hungry, I'm angry, I want to have sex. Like, I knew no emotions. And so I just started going to this. Because, when you play football, like if you're hurt, you tell yourself you're not hurt. If you're tired, you tell yourself you're not tired. If you're intimidated, you tell yourself you're not, So you're always just telling yourself you don't feel things. And so I think just opening up my body to even just figuring out what makes me tick is what really got me into it. So I was taking like a Stella Adler type class, a Uta Hagen type class, and a method class. And they were all like twice a week. So it's like 6 days a week. I mean, it was only for like 2 years before I really started working, but that's all I did. Just like I did when I played football,
Yeah. And what a journey you've been on. I mean, some of the films that you've been in are absolutely outstanding. I mean, the first time that I saw you in a film was World Trade Center. You played Alison's brother, if I'm right. If I'm right. And what a film that was. It was very poignant at the time. It was just fantastically directed and made. And then you went on to do so many great films like Draft Day with Kevin Costner. And Fury. And Fury, I've got to say, is one of my all-time favorite movies because when someone does a war movie or like a series like Band of Brothers, I appreciate the work that goes into that to make it as accurate as possible. And you came over to England to film that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And David Ayer, the director of that, like he will make like every stitch on your uniform correct. Like he is such an attention to detail.
Yeah. And apparently you coming over to film Fury in England was down to the tanks because in the film you had a Tiger 131 tank and it's the only one working in the world.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And the tanks that we were in were a lot of times owned by the person who was operating them.
Yeah.
And my tank was a lot of guys from England who were on the same tank in Afghanistan.
Wow.
And it was such a great group of guys and like from all different walks of life. It was just really cool that all those people were in the same army together in the same tank. Because like this guy Chip, he'd be off like fox hunting one weekend, and then other people were more like blue collar people. So it was really cool.
And it was shot in 62 days, apparently, which I was shocked at. Is that correct?
Who said that? Wait, 62 days?
Apparently, it says on Wikipedia, but then again, you don't believe anything that's on the internet.
No, don't believe that, because we were there in maybe even August, September, October, November, December. No, we were there because I was there when it was hot, thinking I thought it was supposed to be cool in England to when I'm wearing like 4 layers of clothes with my head sticking out that tank all day.
Right, so I'm going to go over to Wikipedia and definitely demand a change on that. So while you was filming Fury, did you what did you do on your downtime in England? What did you enjoy the most about the UK?
You know, there wasn't a lot of time to go do anything because literally, even though it might not look like it, I did have one great scene that was cut out just for time when one of my guys wouldn't go, and he didn't want to go on the next battle, so he blew his old hand off.
Yeah.
But I still threw him in the tank. But anyway, didn't make it in it. But a lot of days, like if those tanks were moving, we were all in those tanks. So the most fun thing I did is I went to a Manchester City football game.
Right. Okay.
That was great. And then a lot of times, like when we were staying in Henley-on-Thames, that was great. Just go on walks down the river, and it was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say the film looked absolutely so much fun to film, especially with all the effects and everything going on. Did you witness any? Apparently, Scott Eastwood had indication with Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf. No, not like Shia. Did you witness that?
No, they didn't really have a altercation. They didn't have like a physical altercation. No, really, I think all that happened was Scott Eastwood, his character was on their tank, and he's supposed to spit on the tank, and then they're supposed to say, I think that was it. Like he was just supposed to spit. And then I think Shia in character said, like, don't spit on my tank. And then I think Scott didn't know he was still acting or something.
Good old times, eh?
And I think then Scott shaved his pubic hairs with the same shaver that everyone used for their face.
Oh, no.
And I think then people started to be bristled by some of that behavior.
Oh dear. And then we move on to another favorite move.
I just want to say this though: Shia and Brad are two of the best people to work with. They're so into it, but like they'll do everything. These tanks were, they're tall, and Brad's tank was in front of mine, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna be bringing a ladder for him to get on and off or something. But nope, he had to jump off and jump on like every time. He was just a really cool guy, and Shia is really
apparently Brad came early, from what I've read, before filming to actually get used to tanks before the actual crew came over. Apparently he was spotted in the countryside a month or so before filming started.
I think that they all were. I think maybe he was there before even then, but then all of those guys went through like a boot camp and stuff together. Yeah. So that must have been really fun.
Well, definitely one of my favorite movies. And then we go on to, I've got to say, one of the best films I've watched on Netflix, which is Bright.
I love Bright.
Which I've got to say is fantastic. I mean, I've watched it about 3-4 times. My wife watched it for the first time the other night, actually, and I've got to say she really enjoyed it. But what a film! I mean, the great news is it's been announced that Bright 2 is going to be happening. I don't know if have you had any phone calls yet regarding your character, because you play, is it Dorgu? Dorgu? Is that how you pronounce it?
Dargu, yeah, Dargu.
Yeah, the leader of the Fog Teeth clan.
Fog Teeth, yeah. Let me see if I can remember the Kof Panach Pochka. Yeah, you had to learn a real. It's a real language that was. The man who made up the language makes up all the languages for the Game of Thrones.
Wow.
So like I have to say Orcish the same as my son says it, the same as everyone else says it. You can't be just like making shit up.
Yeah.
So I found that to be super challenging. In fact, I had that whole scene for a long time. It's a lot of me talking. It's like talking for like 15 minutes, and then there was like 2 lines I had to learn in Orcish. And then like 2 weeks before, he goes, why don't you just learn that whole speech in Orcish? I was like, okay, no problem. And then I was like, oh, fuck, but...
Thank goodness for subtitles.
No, I did it great. And I got to the point where I could, say one line in Orcish, the next one in English, like back and forth. It was great.
Yeah. What was it like wearing all that makeup? Because you looked fantastic. I mean, the work on that movie was just phenomenal. It really was. And you were completely unrecognizable, in all fairness, which is good because you're an orc. But what was it like?
I mean, you can hear my voice and stuff.
God, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It was this guy Jamie. He put it on me. It took about 3 hours to put on, but the hardest part would be when they put it on. Then you couldn't, like lay on it. So like sometimes they put it on, and then it's like 8 hours till we worked, or 10 hours till we worked, or till I got to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'd have to just sit up the whole time. And another thing that was hard about it is, doing a lot of fight things or whatever, you'd start to sweat in it a little bit. And then, of course, the hardest thing is the contact lenses. So this one night, we're just doing we're in this little bar scene, and then these guys come in and they shoot these weapons off. But, that takes all night. You don't realize that when you watch the movie. But so they were shooting off these full loads of stuff. And I guess some of it got in my eye. And I forget this woman's name, but she did the contacts. And she was she's really nice, quiet lady. She's like, oh, you should take that contact off. And I said, okay. But then they go, oh, we're going to do a close-up on Brad now. And I said, okay, I won't put that contact back in. And she's like, no, you can't. It's not safe. No, seriously, I want to, because I want to, it's my close-up. Yeah. And she was like, nope, you can't. It's damage your eye. So, I mean, I was just so impressed how she, everyone was just looking at her, and she just literally took care of my health.
Oh,
it was really, because I would have damaged my eye because I just wanted it to look good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Course. Yeah. But it did fantastic. I mean, the reviews on it was astonishing. I mean, would you like to do Bright 2?
Yes, I would, because, I mean, I did it like that was a 15-minute scene or something with Joel and Will, and I just loved my character, and that was the second time I worked with David, and it was just like, I really feel like I work well with him. I think also from being a football player, I work well with him because he's kind of like a no-nonsense person,
Yeah.
Like, a compliment from him would be like, well, let's try not to fuck it up as much next time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The compliment is you're there the next day. You haven't been fired. So I like how he works. He creates a tension, and then for all his movies, you get to, or have to, I say get to do this martial arts training. Everyone trains with each other, and it really kind of brings people together. And especially in that movie when you're kind of fighting each other and stuff. It was a great experience.
And obviously, I'm not going to spoil it for people, but at the end, I've got to say, if they do make a Bright 2 and bring you back into that film, I think there's so much stuff that you can do as your character within the next one, because it ends quite emotionally. With the old I'm not gonna give it away. And then I've got to say, I interviewed Kim Coates a few months ago. Absolute stellar guy. And you were in a film, a lovely film, I've got to say, Coldbrook.
I love that film.
It's one of those films that, looking at Kim Coates at what he's done with Bad Blood and Sons of Anarchy, seeing him in that sort of role was a bit of a shocker, to be honest. But what a lovely, lovely movie. If no one's, if anyone's not seen it, go out and see it, or get it on streaming or video on demand, because it's one of those brotherly sort of films that just make you feel good. And you play Chip in it, which is an overzealous sort of security man. And what a character you play. It's a great character. It really is. You sort of feel sorry for him a bit, because,
of course,
he just wants to try and do his best. I mean, what sort of experience did you have working on that film? Because it was directed by William Fitchner, which co-wrote it as well.
Yeah, and Bill is he's the best director, and Kim was so fun to work with, and they pump you up, man. Like, they make you feel like you're the best actor they ever worked with. They're so complimentary, and this, like, every take is different, and it was really great. I love that one scene when there's a couple scenes, like the scene where I break the glass accidentally with my flashlight, and then I love that scene where they come in, and I'm like, I thought you guys were taking it to 11, but you guys were really stealing or whatever, like that. I thought that was a great scene, and it was great. It was shot in Buffalo, where Bill is from, and like we went to his house for 4th of July, and it was just awesome.
Oh, that's cool. And you know, I've got a bit of a confession to say, Brad. I haven't seen Orange Is the New Black. I do apologize.
Oh, wow.
You know, I've got to say your show, the real guy show. You know, it's the Brad Henke show on YouTube. Even your best mate at the time hadn't seen it. My wife's seen all of them, but it's time. And when I said who I was interviewing, she turned around and said, "Oh, he's not very nice." But I do have a couple of questions because I put it out there on the good old social media, and I've got a fan called Susie. Susie Kajija. I'm rubbish with names. I really am trying to pronounce them. But Susie wanted to know if you can change anything about your character, because you played the prison guard, Desi Piscatella.
Piscatella,
yeah. And if you could change anything about your character on that show, what would it be?
What would I change? Nothing. I really wouldn't change anything. Because on Orange Is the New Black, Genji Cohen, who is the writer, creator, and all the writers, like that was the first time, you know, that I've always tried to look at. I just looked at that as if it was Shakespeare, and I'm not going to change a word.
Yeah.
You know, now I might improv at the beginning or improv at the end, or once in a while, once I got the lay of the land, like in the middle, but like improv something, they say something back, but then get right back on the lines because the lines are so good.
Yeah.
You know? And so, and also just like, I knew everything about my character, you know, before I took the job. And, there's nothing I would have changed. And I'm glad it ended when it did. It was all perfect.
Excellent. I've got to say,
I want to tell you this though. I did on my last day. I got back to my trailer and I just started crying. And the reason I was crying is because I was like, am I ever going to have a situation again with this good of writing, with this talented of actors, with this big of audience seeing my work? Like, it was a pretty amazing gift for me.
It's like leaving a loving family, isn't it? It's sort of, you spent so much time with them creating something so beautiful, and I mean I've done shows in the past, and when we've finished the run of shows, you know that tonight's your last show, and it's so emotional. It really, really is. To be honest, I should really watch it because I used to be a prison officer myself. So I used to be a prison officer at youth offenders. So I used to look after the late teens. So it was very volatile.
I once was a substitute teacher for kids that were either expelled or just coming out of the youth prison.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, it's a lot more volatile than working in an adult prison because adults don't tend to kick off so much. With the teenagers, they've got no boundaries, they've got no barriers. On my first shift, though, I've got to say, I got stabbed in the back with a fork and I got my glasses broken. And I went home smiling because I thought, if that's the worst that can happen. But then,
I was going to say, and you went back, but yeah.
Oh, to be honest, though, it was a bunch of girls and they had covered themselves in cocoa butter because they knew that if we tried to grab them and put them in holds, we would just slip off, and that's exactly what happened. It was to be honest, if it was filmed, it would be a comedy. It really, really would. We're well trained, but it all went pear-shaped. So we move on to. It's all over the internet. The buzz on this show is unbelievable. Even Stephen King has said the buzz. The Stand. What's happening with it? Because has it been filmed? Is it going to be filmed? I mean,
it's already done. We finished. We finished filming on March 12th.
Right, okay. And do we know a release date for it? Because I've got to say, the story of The Stand is very... If it was released now, it would be very... the storyline of it, the virus, 99.4 people die. It's going to be quite a sensitive subject, I suppose. I mean, what's your view on if it came out now?
I was thinking, like everyone watched Contagion at the beginning of the quarantine.
Of course.
But, I was thinking, like, they were talking about, I think, it coming out in, like, November. But I know it also, too, like, I heard they were trying to push it up. I think that, like, any time from now on, I think people would be interested. And also, too, that one's a lot worse because when you get that one, you die. And so, but I'm so excited for it to come out, and this, to date, was the best acting experience of my life. It was amazing. It was amazing.
And you played Tom Cullen in the show. Do we know if Stephen King has seen any of the footage yet and his opinion?
Oh, yeah. Stephen King wrote the last episode, right. And he his son is a writer on the show, and and I was told, Stephen King likes you as Tom. He likes what you're doing.
That's awesome.
Like, right. Yeah,
that is awesome. And what a cast you've got surrounding you, from Whoopi Goldberg to is it James Marsden and Marilyn Manson as well in it as well.
I don't know. I don't know if Marilyn Manson ended up being in it or not.
Right.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, so
because there's so many, like, I saw maybe everyone in the cast almost once. I mean, it's because you're kind of, there's people in this camp and people in this camp and then people stuck in the desert. So you don't see people all the time. Like I did one scene with Whoopi Goldberg, and that was awesome. I didn't do any scenes with Sarsgaard, which everyone loved him. Henry Zaga, I did a lot of scenes with. I love that guy. James is great. Javon, it's great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very looking forward to it because obviously I watched the original The Stand, and I wasn't a massive fan, in all fairness. Okay,
but here's the reason. It's because they didn't have the equipment to make the graphics and to shoot it and to make it look real back then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at something like amazing, like, Jaws, like that, like stands alone. It was a long time ago, but it would be hard to make. It's hard to make stuff like that back then. You know what I mean? To look so real. So I think this is going to look really real, and it's a little bit dark. It's just a little bit more real.
When you started out in acting, was there an actor that you thought to yourself, do you know what? I want to act with this person. Who really inspired you? Why you were starting out in acting?
I mean, someone I would have wanted to act with would be like Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Right. Yeah.
Because I saw, him playing. He's kind of like a bigger guy, so like playing roles that I could wish I was playing.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, he was acting from a younger age, and he went to NYU and did this stuff. So I feel like, I was 10 years behind some of those people because I had to put in my 10,000 hours in my way. You know what I mean? And so I really but I look at, I want to play roles like that. I want to play complicated, layered roles. I feel like, I feel like I can, make people fear me, and I feel like people can feel my heart too. So, I think that the best actor on the planet, like now, I feel like is Tom Hardy. And I feel like I don't even know if I could aspire to be what he is. He's amazing, but I will try. I mean, there's a scene in season 3 of Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Episode 6, where they're in that warehouse when it's Tom Hardy and Cillian Murphy, and they fight, and then oh my God, I think that's one of the best scenes I've ever seen in my life. And many times before I work or do an audition or whatever, I will watch that scene just to remind me what we're really supposed to be doing.
I mean, we've all had our ups and downs, and you, sir, as well. You've had your ups and downs through life. What motivates you, to keep going forwards?
Well, I feel like when I played football and stuff like that, I was kind of doing that for my parents or something.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I started acting, I didn't tell anyone that I was acting. I think my parents found out when a neighbor said they saw me on TV or something, because I wanted this thing to be mine. And what keeps me going is just growing as an actor. I know that sounds whatever, but like we talk about Tom Hardy. Well, in the last like 2 or 3 roles, I've really been working so much more on creating different voices for my characters, where I talk from, what my history is. And I didn't do as much of that before because I was trying to be real, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's like, I really am just, what keeps me going is I feel like I'm about to get good.
Yeah.
And I'd want to work with, the top writers and actors and directors so I can grow into being the actor that I can possibly be, like my max potential.
And at what point would you say, you'll turn around to yourself and say, do you know what? I'm a success. I've made it. What does that look like for you?
I think for me, it looks like if I'm the lead of a cable series that's really kind of doing something, like it has a really strong message, and not for the accolades or whatever, but if I'm on a show like that and then me or that show is up for an Emmy, I will feel like I have done something to touch people that people saw, because I really want to be involved in something. And that's why too, like I try to play, what people would call fractured, characters, because if you don't show those characters to be real, and like if you show them to be one note bullshit characters, then people go, oh, that's not real. But if you make them really real, like in Split, I don't know if you ever saw Split. Like I don't want to watch Split. I want to see that shit. But that was a very important role in that show. So someone has to play that role to make everyone else feel. Like, just like in Orange, people would say, like, I want to kill you. If I saw you, I wish this would have happened. I wish this would have happened. And one time I wrote, I was like, if you didn't have me, like, there'd be no obstacle for the season. You know what I mean?
Do you know what? It's like every superhero needs a supervillain, because you need that. And yeah, you're completely spot on.
But I think it's worse when the villain seems like the guy next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the scary. Yeah. I mean, what's your perfect role then? Out of all the programs that are on TV at the moment, what's your favorite program out there that you're watching?
Peaky Blinders is always my favorite.
Yeah.
Peaky Blinders is my favorite by far. I like Ozark a lot.
Yeah.
I loved Pretty Little Lies. I thought Pretty Little Lies was great.
Yeah.
The acting in that. And what was great about that is the acting was so great. And oh shoot, I just slipped your name now. damn, I just had a brain fart. The second year, the actress who wins all the Oscars who came on. Oh, dang it. Want me to look it up? She wins every Oscar for Best Actress. Okay, sorry. I was just looking at this audition that I had to do this morning for the Knights of the Zodiac.
Right.
It's a Japanese anime that they're making with real life people. And I auditioned for the role of Cassius. I hope I get it. It seems really cool.
That's awesome, because I was going to ask what's next for you, so you've just answered that one. So
you know what? I don't know if that's next. It was just an audition. But there's nothing been going on. So basically, I finished working on the 12th of March, and since then, nothing's been going on. So do you hear when things are going to start?
Filming in the UK has been given a green light. So I know the Batman's going back to film, because I was interviewing a stuntman that's working on the movie, and apparently they're going back in a couple of weeks.
And are they going to have crazy rules, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of like unions and organisations are going to get involved, because it's very difficult to be on set, isn't it? And if you're going to have a close-up scene, you can't be 2 meters away if you're supposed to be kissing them.
Yeah, but don't you think if they can have a UFC fight, you know what I mean, or they could play basketball, that we could
exactly.
Oh, the name I couldn't remember is called Meryl Streep. Okay.
That little actress.
That's why it was a complete brain fart. But just to watch, like, I thought, like, in season 1, Nicole Kidman, I thought everyone was just amazing. And then you see Meryl Streep, and you're like, how can Meryl Streep add to this? And then she was just amazing. I mean, so good, so good.
So what is next for you then? So obviously you've got that audition. I mean, with lockdown and everything happening, have you got any work lined up after the lockdown?
I actually have a couple scripts that I've written that my management is getting out there now, because this is a good time for that.
Yeah.
And but no, I think it's gonna. Listen, I would have wanted to take March, April, maybe May off anyway. But now I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? And I will go, if they have to shoot everything in Sweden, I'll go to Sweden tomorrow, Like, I for the right thing, I will go anywhere. So no, I think it's just like I'm doing this audition today. And I think, the one thing is though, no one has a job right now. So everyone wants a job. I know that there were probably some that were in the middle of shooting and others that were about to start. So hopefully they'll get to do those.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. If everyone gets tested.
Yep.
Why can't we just do the scenes?
Exactly. I completely agree. And I've got to say, out of this lockdown, the explosion of creativity is going to be awesome. I mean, how many more new shows are going to be created from the back of the lockdown? I mean, it is unfortunate, we've had all these deaths and the virus is dreadful, and you've got this rioting and the looting, which I think is pointless. But off the back of it, the silver lining, I think that humanity is a massive reset button. Once the lockdown gets lifted, my kids can see their grandparents, and I can't wait. I think that there's going to be a lot of love in the air, fingers crossed, with everything going on. But who knows? I mean, I can't wait for some more new shows to come out, because at the moment...
Well, at a certain point, like, even though you have people, even if this virus doesn't go away and you have people in some sort of lockdown until the vaccine comes, if they don't have content to watch on TV, they're going to go nuts.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we see what, like everything. I feel like, of course, I'm not in favor of looting and this and that. And they have said here that a lot of that stuff wasn't even the protesters. But even I would say, someone said, there's not going to be change until the most unaffected has had enough.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was trying to say is, like, I can't speak on any of these things except to be supportive, because I literally haven't walked a second in those shoes.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, but I have had people in my life that I loved that were black, and I did see that they did have to go through a lot more hoops, and that really opened my eyes. You know, because like I feel like we can only see what we see, but if someone makes us aware of something, then we should be open to that. It's like, I feel like in a relationship, like you can't read your partner's mind. That's not the sign of love. But if they say, hey, I'd like you to take out the trash, you know what? Thanks for the hint. I'll take out the trash. You know what I mean? But we're not mind readers, you know, and they're not either, you know.
No.
It's just, I feel like in the world, like literally, you know, there's you know, there's not like a lot, like different groups like LGBTQ, you know, like all these, like there's all these different groups that have a special interest and have not been, obviously they've been not treated right at certain times. So I just don't understand, like, why if we're in the larger group, why we care. Like, if you need these little special needs to be safe, cool. If you need this to feel safe, like, why aren't we all for those? You know, it's not putting us out any.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And I suppose the way forward as well is teaching our kids, educating them, you know, that colour isn't, you know, an issue. You know what I mean? We're all human and we all bleed and breathe the same air.
And I thought that the virus would have taught us that a little more, you know, like
exactly.
But you know, here in America, we were just, our president was telling us Americans can't get this. You know what I mean? So.
Well, fingers crossed, it'll be gone. Do you know what? I've got to be careful with politics on the show though, because you know I've interviewed quite a few stars, and a lot of them are pro-Trump, and then a lot are anti-Trump, and it's like, oh no, I've got to be so careful. But do you know what? That scene of him walking to the church and those peaceful protesters, because I was watching it live on CNN in the UK.
So was I.
And when it happened, my jaw just dropped. Their First Amendment right just got thrown out the window. This bully boy that I call him wanted to throw his toys out of, you know, his pen and go to this church for a stupid photo opportunity. You know, I just think it's ridiculous. You know, the way that they treated them, I just think shocking, and shame on him. And you know, his presidency is going to be remembered as being a bully.
Well, he's a bully, and but we knew this, right? Like when he's calling people like Nervous Nancy and Lion Ted, and you know whatever like these are what things children do.
Yeah.
Like, and then like he doesn't follow the rules. Like there's rules, and he just doesn't follow them. And, you know, it's like I do think we have got to a place where like, if you're Republican or Democrat, oh, I hate you. It shouldn't be that. But also then it shouldn't be so. Also then the parties should not be so extreme. Like I feel if I was president, I would make it so. And I don't know how it works in England, to be honest with you. But here, like, let's say you get 2 Democratic seats in the Senate and 2 Republican. I wish you just would vote on people and get 4 seats, so they didn't have to vote down party lines.
Yeah. It's very confusing in the UK as well, you know, for the government, and I just think that it just needs to get all sorted out. I mean, Barack Obama, I thought was an awesome. From what I saw, I thought he was very relatable. He cared about his people. He did a lot of good. But then I'm British, so I'm not going to put my opinion too much on you, because obviously you're there living the American.
Here's the thing about Obama is like Obama, when he spoke, it always makes you say, "Oh man, I need to be a better man. I need to be a better person." I don't think that when the current president speaks, you know. But I also feel like people should be able to talk about their difference of opinions instead of hate each other for a difference of opinions. Because then hopefully there could be some compromise. I'm just talking about in like even bills or financial bills or health care or any of those things. Because here's the deal. Like, I'm not a social media person. Like, when something big is going on, I feel like if people are wondering where I stand on this, then I want to say something. But otherwise, I found, like, on my Instagram, like, if I write something substantial, no one gives a shit. If I put up a selfie, they love it. So I'm not really.
And you know what? You've got over 82,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
How does that feel, having that amount of people following you?
It's mostly from Orange. I didn't even have social media, and then the first season I got like 50, and then the second season I got like 40. I actually lost a couple, but because I really don't post very much. Like, what I do is I do it for the fans. So like in Orange, they were so gung-ho, they wanted to see stuff, so I put it up. And I think it's going to be the same thing for The Stand, though, because The Stand has a lot of like huge fans, huge hardcore fans, and it's going to be really good. It's going to be really good, and I think it's going to be, obviously something people can relate to, and I like that it's like so much worse than happened now, because then maybe that will help them, lose reality a little bit.
Yeah, of course. And I'm so looking forward to it. I really am, because, it's nice to see a gritty sort of series that you can get into, because, at the moment I'm watching Van Helsing, which I absolutely love. And I'm watching Snowpiercer as well, which I think is fantastic.
Oh yeah, I don't forget what, but I met for a role on that. I didn't get it, but I heard it was really good.
Yeah, so I think we're on episode 3 at the moment in the UK, but no, there is still some great TV on at the moment until everything dries up. So let's.
Well, like a week into, I saw someone on my Instagram feed, like in the second week of the quarantine, they're like, "Okay, I finished Netflix. Now what?"
Let's go on to Amazon Prime. Brad, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. And,
you too, man.
Do you know what? I love doing this because I get a chance to talk to the people that I look up to and I admire, and your acting is absolutely superb. I look forward to everything that you do in the future, and The Stand, I'm so looking forward to. I really, really am. But look after yourself. Stay safe.
And tell your wife that I'm a nice guy.
I will do. And the great thing is about the podcast is 50% of the listeners, well, 40% are in the UK. The rest are in the US. So we're quite global. So I'm sure they'll be listening to this, getting ready for The Stand. And I'll tell my wife that you're a nice person, and you are a nice person, Brad. You've been lovely.
And I always want to come over and play, the stereotypical dumb American on an English show. That's one of my goals.
I think Matt LeBlanc did that on one of the English shows as well. But yeah, you'll have to come over, because we've seen a lot more of Americans like Ron Perlman coming over doing the gritty crime dramas, and it's really nice to see. Because we've got enough Brits coming over to the US in shows. You
know how much I would love that? I would love that so much, because I love it over there.
Oh,
yeah.
No, that's awesome. Brad, look after yourself. Right. Stay safe.
Thanks, all right. Nice meeting you.
You too, mate. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Be More Super, the podcast.
It was kind of a crazy, fun experience.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Listen, my whole family loves it, man.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button and share with your super friends.
In my world, it means hope.